Commander Zixathala stared at the holographic display with three of her four eyes, the fourth one twitching in what her species considered extreme agitation. The data streams flowing across the translucent screen should have been showing mass casualties, planetary evacuation protocols, and the systematic collapse of human civilization. Instead, they displayed something far more disturbing: normalcy. "Run the analysis again," she commanded, her mandibles clicking in frustration. Her subordinate, a nervous Kethmori named Jix, manipulated the controls with trembling appendages. "Commander, the results are consistent. The bioweapon has been deployed successfully across 94.7% of the human population on Earth. The spore count in their atmosphere has reached optimal concentration. By all calculations, their immune system should have collapsed within the first solar cycle." Zixathala's tail lashed behind her. The galactic hegemony had spent 3 rotations developing the perfect biological weapon, a microscopic organism that would trigger catastrophic autoimmune responses in any carbon-based life form. They had tested it on 17 different species across 9 star systems. Every single test subject had died within hours, their bodies turning against themselves in spectacular fashion. Humans apparently were different. "Show me the surveillance footage from Sector 7 Alpha," she ordered. The hologram shifted to display a bustling human settlement called New York. The streets were filled with humans going about their daily routines. Some were rubbing their optical sensors and making strange honking sounds through their breathing apparatus, but they continued walking. Others were consuming liquid stimulants from small containers while simultaneously operating primitive vehicles. "Commander," Jix whispered, They're calling it pollen season." The footage zoomed in on a gathering of humans in what appeared to be a social consumption establishment. They were discussing their symptoms with casual indifference that made Zixathala's blood run cold. "Yeah, my allergies are killing me this year," one human said, proceeding to consume a fermented beverage. "I've been sneezing all morning." Another human nodded sympathetically. "Same here. I had to take 2 antihistamines just to function. My eyes are watering like crazy." "At least you can breathe through your nose," a third added. "Mine's been completely blocked for 3 days straight." They continued their conversation as if they were discussing weather patterns, not the systematic destruction of their respiratory and immune systems. Zixathala watched in horrified fascination as one human actually laughed while describing how the allergies were making her life miserable. "Pull up the medical analysis," she demanded. The data that appeared made her question everything she knew about biological warfare. Human medical facilities were reporting increased sales of something called allergy medication. Their pharmaceutical industry was thriving. Instead of preparing for mass extinction, they were manufacturing nasal sprays and eye drops. But the most disturbing part was their adaptation rate. "Commander," Jix said, his voice barely above a whisper, "their children, the ones exposed to the bioweapon from birth, they're showing 73% less reaction than the adults." "Impossible." "The data doesn't lie. Human offspring exposed to our weapon are developing resistance. Their immune systems are learning to coexist with our most sophisticated biological warfare agent. They're adapting to it." Zixathala pulled up the long-term projections and felt her stomach drop into her lower torso. According to the computer models, within 2 generations, humans would be completely immune to their bioweapon. Not only that, but exposure to the agent was actually strengthening their immune systems, making them more resistant to other biological threats. She accessed the cultural database and began reading human literature about their medical history. What she found there made her realize the magnitude of their error. Humans had been dealing with allergies for millennia. They lived on a planet that was actively trying to kill them through biological agents, plant reproductive matter that should have been toxic to any reasonable species. Not only had they survived, but they had developed an entire medical industry around managing these symptoms while continuing their daily lives. Their planet produced billions of microscopic biological weapons every spring, and humans responded by taking a pill and going to work. "Commander," Jix interrupted her reading, "we're receiving reports from the other sectors. The bioweapon deployment has failed across all continents. Humans are showing some discomfort, but..." He paused, checking his datapad. "But they're responding by purchasing more facial tissues and complaining about it on their global communication networks." Zixathala closed all 4 eyes and tried to process what she was learning. The Galactic Hegemony had just deployed their most devastating biological weapon against a species that had been casually living with biological warfare agents for their entire evolutionary history. They had evolved alongside plants that regularly attempted to overwhelm their immune systems, and they had responded by developing the biological equivalent of shrugging it off and taking medicine. "Pull back our forces," she finally commanded. "Commander, you heard me. Abort the invasion. Cancel all hostile operations against Earth immediately." "But the bioweapon failed, Jix. Worse than failed. We just gave them a mild inconvenience and potentially strengthened their immune systems. Do you understand what this means?" Jix's color changed to a pale blue, indicating confusion and fear. "No, Commander. It means we just attacked a species that considers biological warfare a seasonal annoyance. A species that has been training their immune systems for thousands of years to handle exactly this type of assault." She stood up, her decision made. "We're not dealing with a primitive civilization, Jix. We're dealing with a species that has been preparing for biological warfare their entire evolutionary history without even realizing it." As their ships quietly retreated from Earth's solar system, Zix Thala made a note in the official Galactic Hegemony database. "Species designation, human, threat level, unknown. Recommendation, avoid all contact. They consider our most advanced bioweapons to be seasonal allergies." Back on Earth, Sarah Chen sneezed, grabbed another tissue, and continued typing her report, completely unaware that she had just survived an alien bioweapon attack that would have devastated any other known species in the galaxy. "Damn pollen," she muttered, reaching for her allergy medication. The universe, it seemed, had quite the sense of humor.